Hello everyone, welcome back to Mentors Academy. So this is part 2 of our UPSC CSAT mathematics series on percentages. In the previous session, we covered the basics, tricks and some classic PYQs and also practice questions, right? So today we'll continue with more advanced and recent PYQs, CSAT PYQ questions from 2020 to 2024. Let's get started. First up, we have a previous session, a PYQ question I've asked you to solve. I hope you have all solved it. So let's solve it here. In a class, 60% of students, are from India and 50% of the students are girls. If 30% of the Indian students are girls, then what percent of foreign students are boys? Options 45%, 40%, 30%, and 20%. So let's see the solution here. So let's solve it here. What does it say? 60% of students are from India. That means Indian students are. So let's suppose total number of students is X. So that means students from India include 60% of X, that is 0.6X. So if Indian students are 0.6X, 60%, the remaining 40% would be foreign students. Fs equals to 0.4X. Right? So it is also given ki 50% of the students are girls. So girl students would be 50% of the total student, that is 0.5x. If girls are 50%, again boys would be other 50%, right? So boys also are 0.5x, right? So it has given ki number of girls who are Indian students are 30%. Right? So out of Indian students, 30% are girls. That implies Indian girl students equals to 30% of Indian student, that is 0.3 into 0.6x, that is 0.18x. So these are the Indian girl students. So that implies number of foreign girl students equals to total girls minus Indian girls. Simple, right? Total girls minus Indian girls. Total girls are 0.5x. Indian girls are 0.18x. That implies foreign girls are 0.32x. Alright. So let me erase this to continue with the next process, next steps. So just remember, let's have this one. Right. So total foreign girls are 0.32x. So number of foreign boys would be, so now foreign boys would be total foreign students minus foreign girl students. Total foreign students. So we have total foreign students are 0.4x, right? 0.4x minus foreign girls are 0.32x. So that implies foreign boys would be 0.08x. Right? So the question is, so what is the question here? Percentage of foreign students are boys. What percentage of foreign students are boys? So the formula would be number of foreign boys by total foreign students. Total foreign students into 100. That equals to, right? So foreign boys are 0.8x by total foreign students are 0.4x into 100. You solve this, you'll get 20%. 20%. So this is the final answer. Right? So the answer is option D, 20%. Clear? So let's solve some more PYQs in today's session. So it's a 2024 CSAT PYQ. So let me read out the question. In an examination, 80% of the students passed in English, 70% of students passed in Hindi, and 15% failed in both the subjects. So what is the percentage of students who failed in only one subject? It's a 2024 question. Let's solve this here. the question. So it has given that English 80% students passed. English 80% student passed, and Hindi 70% student passed. How many have failed in both subjects? Failed equals to 15% in both the subjects, right? So now how many failed in English? How many failed in English? That would be 80% have passed, that means 20% have failed. How many failed in Hindi? 70% have passed, so 30% failed. So how many failed in both the subjects? 15%. So students who failed only in English would be, see, this is English, who failed English in both the subject 15. So students who failed only in English would be 20 minus 15. That is 5% only English. Who failed only in English. And students who failed only in Hindi would be 30 minus 15, right? That would be 15%. So total students who failed only in one subject. That was the question, right? What is the percent of students who failed only one subject? So what would be the answer here? So 5% failed only in English and 15% failed only in Hindi, right? So the total students who failed only in one subject would be 15 plus 5, that equals to 20%. So the final answer to this question is option B, 20%. Clear? Let's move on to the next question. So yeah, it is again a 2024 PYQ. Let's solve it. The question is, a number is mistakenly divided by 4 instead of multiplying by 4. What is the percentage change in the result due to this mistake? Very simple question. Just understand the question, understand the vocabulary. Let's solve it now. So it is given that uh, the number is mistakenly divided by 4 instead of multiplying it by 4. So now let the number be 100, right? So the wrong number would be, when did we get the wrong number? When it's divided by 4. So wrong number would be 100 by 4 equals to 25. So what is the right number? So right number is 100 when is multiplied by 4, that is 400, right? So what is the percentage change in the result due to this mistake? So what would be the percentage change? uh, so the here percent is, how much is 25 out of 400? How much percent is it? 25 by 400 into 100, that is 6.25% of the original number. So what would be the percentage change? That would be, percentage change would be 100 minus 6.25, right? So the original number we have assumed it to be 100. So the 25 is how much percent of 400? 6.25. The percentage change due to this mistake is 100 minus 6.25, that is 93.75. Option D, 93.75% is the percentage change occurred due to the mistake that happened here. Yeah, let's move on to the next question. So the question is, it's a 2022 PYQ, CSAT PYQ. So when 70% of a number x is added to another number y, the sum becomes 165% of the value of y. When 60% of the number x is added to another number z, then the sum becomes 165% of the value of z. Which one of the following is correct? Understand the question properly. Let's solve it here. So it is said that 70% of a number x is added to another number y, the sum becomes 165% of the value of y. So let's write it in an equation. 70% of x plus y equals to 160%, 165% of y. That is 70x plus 100 y equals to 165 y. Simple, right? So That would imply x by y equals to 13 by 14, right? You have to solve this. Take this 100y here, so that would be 70, x equals to 65y. Solve this. 5 14 ja, 5 13 ja. So that would be x by y equals to 13 by 14, right? Note this now. Now we have, let's write out the next equation, that is said 60% of x plus z equals to 165% of z. You solve this, you'll again get x by z equals to 13 by 12. So this is another equation. So we have to combine these two equations. X by y equals to 13 by 14, x by z equals to 13 by 12. So that implies x equals to 13, y equals to 14, z equals to 12. So what is the relation here? What is the relation here? The relation here is uh, z less than x less than y, right? Z less than x less than y. So y is the greatest here. So options include A, z less than x less than y, B, x less than y less than z. So we have the option A here. Z less than x less than y is the correct answer. Simple. Yeah. So moving on to the next question. It's a 2022 PYQ again. Two candidates X and Y contested in an election. 80% of voters cast their vote and there were no invalid votes. No invalid votes. There was no nota, none of the above option. So X got 56% of the votes cast and won by 1440 votes. What is the total number of voters in the voters list? I hope you have understood the question. So, understand the right vocabulary here. Let's see the solution. So it is said that two candidates X and Y contested an election. 80% of voters cast their votes and there were no invalid votes. There was no nota option as well. X got 56% of the votes cast and won by 1440 votes. These are the main points to consider here. Now let's say uh, so total number of votes of Y. So total percent of votes of Y would be 44%, right? It is said that X got 56%. That would be, then Y got the remaining 44%, of course, obviously, right? So what is the percentage difference between X and Y? That would be 56 minus 44. That is 12% is the percentage difference. What are the total casted votes? That would be 1440 votes. So X won by 1440 votes, right? So what does that mean? That means total casted votes would be 1440 by 100 by 12, right? So that would be, I'm sorry, 1440 into 100 by 12. So that would be 12,000 are the total casted votes. Total number of voters in voter list now would be, that was the question, right? What is the total number of voters in the voters list? So the total number would be, these are the total votes. Number would be number of voters in the voter list with 12,000 by 100 into 100 by 80. Since 80% of voters have cast their votes, that equals to 15,000. Hope you have understood this answer. So the correct answer to this question is option A. 15,000 are the like total number of voters in the voters list. Clear? So moving on to the next question. P scored 40 marks more than Q in an examination. If Q scored 10% less marks than P, then how much did Q score? It's a 2021 PYQ. Right? Let's see. So now let's say a Q score is, uh, let's say Q score is S marks. All right. And P score is S plus 40, of course. So P scored 40 marks more than Q, that implies P scored S plus 40 marks. So also Q scored 10% less marks than P. That means what is the score of Q? Q equals to, that is S equals to 10% less marks than P. That means 90% of P. P means S plus 40. You solve this equation, you'll get S equals to 360. Right? Right. So S is the Q score. Q has scored this much. The score of Q is 360. The correct answer to this is option A, 360. How much did the P score now? 360 plus 40. Right? 400 is the P score. 360 is the Q score. It was a simple question, basic one. So let's move on to the next question. It's a 2021 PYQ. A student appeared in 6 papers. The maximum marks are the same for each paper. His marks his marks in these papers are in the proportion of 5 is to 6 is to 7 is to 8 is to 9 is to 10. 6 papers. Overall, he scored 60%. In how many number of papers did he score less than 60% of the maximum marks? It might seem to be a complex question, but it's really easy. It's a basic question. You must understand the like terminology or the vocabulary of the questions. So let me solve this out for you. Uh, so now let the marks of each paper be 100. Let's assume the each paper maximum marks is 100. So how much is the total marks of 6 papers? That would be 100 into 6. 600 marks is the total marks for all the 6 papers included. So proportion here given is 5 is to 6 is to 7 is to 8 is to 9 is to 10. So that is 5x plus 6x plus 7x, 8x plus 9x plus 10x. That would be 45x. This is a proportion, like a total. What is the percent score? Percent score is 60%, right? Overall, he scored 60%. That implies 45a by 600 into 100. That equals to 60. 60% it's given, right? So that implies a equals to 15 4 ja 15 3 ja a equals to 8. All right, 3 1 ja 3 2. So the value of a is 8. The marks obtained would be just calculate the marks here, that is 5a, 6a, 7a, so on. So the marks obtained would be 5 into 8 40, 6 into 8 48, 7 into 8 56, 8 into 8 64, 9 into 8 72, and 10 into 8 80. These are the marks obtained in all the 6 papers. Minimum marks, it said that 60% is the minimum mark. So 60% of 100 would be 60. So each paper minimum marks is 60 marks. So less than 60, how many papers we have less than 60? This one, 40, 48 and 56. So these papers, these 3 papers have less than the minimum marks, so less than 60 marks, right? So the correct answer to this question is option B, 3 papers. It is asked how many papers did he score less than 60, but that is 3 papers. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Right. So as a result of 25% hike in the price of rice per kg, a person is able to purchase 6 kg less rice for 1200 rupees. What was the original price of rice per kg? Right? Right. So a 25% hike in the price of rice in the like in the price of rice per kg. Now let the quantity of rice purchased by a person be x kg. Let the quantity be x kg. All right, so hike in price is 25%. So the hiked price would be 125% into 1200, that is 1500. This is the hiked price. All right, So reduce in purchase quantity. He has purchased 6 kg less, right? So reduce in purchase quantity would be x minus 6, right? So difference between hiked and original price. What is the difference between hiked price and original price? That is 1500 minus 1200, that is 300 is the difference. So that implies here the like the difference 6 kg less rice equals to 300 rupees, right? So 1 kg implies 50 rupees, right? So then 125% would be 50. That is, this 50 is 125% is 50. So the original price is rupees 40. Simple, right? Yeah. So the correct answer to this question is rupees 40. Right. So moving on to the next question. In adult population of a city, 40% men and 30% women are married. What is the percentage of married adult population if no man marries more than one woman and no woman marries more than one man and there are no widows and widowers? It's a 2020 CSAT question. So let's solve it here. So it can be concluded that number of married men equals to number of married women, right? So 40% of men equals to 30% of women. So each man is married to one woman and one woman only married to one man. So that is why number of married men equals to number of married women. That implies 40% of men equals to 30% of women. That implies men is to women equals to 3 is to 4, the ratio. Men is to women equals to 3 is to 4, right? So let's assume the male population be 600 and female population be 800, since they are in the ratio 3 is to 4. Let's assume, right? So male population is 600, female is, that is woman is 800. So then 40% of 600, 40% of 600 is 240, 40% men, right? So and 30% of 800 would be 240 again. So the total married couples are 240. 240 men and 240 women are married. So couples are 240 couples. Percent of married population. So now we have been asked what is the percent of married population. That would be 240 by total members 800 plus 600, 1400 into 100. That is 17.14%, or can be written as 34 2 by 7%. All right. So the correct answer is option. So these two are printed wrong. Like this one is 34 2 by 7. So the option C is the correct answer, 34 2 by 7%. I hope you have understood this point. So yeah, I guess that is it. So these are the important percentage PYQs we have practiced, and for your warm up, and that is it for the percentage session. So the next class will be seeing a new topic, that is ratio and proportion. So in this class, what did we learn? We have learned like percentages in CSAT are never isolated, so they're always mixed with marks, ratios, averages, right, sets and etc. So that's why practice of PYQs is the only way to master this topic. So for the next topic, we'll begin with ratio and proportion. So the natural continuation after percentages, it's heavily linked to averages, mixtures, profit and loss. So don't miss it. So yeah, that's it for today from my side. Thank you very much again for joining in today. Keep practicing and I'll see you on the next lecture. Until then, have consistency, practice CSAT as much as possible. Thank you. Have a good day.